So now I think we got the screen up and running. Welcome everyone to this webinar, how technology is building efficiency in warehouse and logistics. My name is Eric Paulson. I'm the business manager for warehouse and logistics at Quinix in the UK. Let's see if we can get the next slide. There we go. I'm happy to co-host this webinar with Robin Nilsmark. Robin is the Swedish country manager at Optiscan. Robin will introduce himself a little later. And Daniel Dombach. Daniel is the EMEA director for industry solutions at Zebra Technologies. So we will listen more to Daniel later on. Let's have a quick look at the agenda for today. We will go over just briefly about Quinix, who we are. Robin will talk a little bit about Optiscan. Afterwards, we will hand over the word to Daniel, who will guide us through today's topic. And there will definitely be some room for questions in the end. So please feel free to shoot any questions over to us. And a little bit of housekeeping with regards to that. Please use the Q&A function. It's provided in the box for any questions you might have. And Robin, who will moderate the Q&A at the end, we'll bring them up and we'll answer them live right after Daniel's presentation. So, Quinix. Who's Quinix? Quinix, we're a cloud-based software as a service focused 100% on workforce management. And at Quinix, we believe that the management of employees can and should be made more efficient and fun. Quinix was founded in 2005 by Eric Feldborg, who you see here, the picture. Eric was working at McDonald's at the time, and at McDonald's, working as an extra, he saw the need for a more efficient and collaborative scheduling system. And in creating that system for the McDonald's he worked, he saw a much more efficient and collaborative scheduling process, and that was the embryo of what we see as Quinix today. So Quinix, it's a complete workforce management suite, meaning we're definitely much more than just scheduling and time and attendance. Here's a snapshot of the different aspects that sort of builds Quinix to the workforce management suite that it is. Budget and forecast helps it optimize staffing. We've also built an intuitive communications interface that you can use right at the palm of your hand for this collaborative interaction with managers and employees alike. And if you have a complex environment relating to tasks, Quinix really helps you govern and communicate them efficiently throughout your organization. Insights helps us visualize and follow up on KPIs that you might have in a very intuitive way. If you do have any questions relating to workforce management, I want to have a discussion, I'm happy to have a one-on-one, but it's not today's main topic of discussion. But I'm happy to talk with you should you have any questions directly to me. So Quinix at a glance. Today we have currently 250,000 plus active users using Quinix every day. We have over 4 million app logins per month. And Quinix, as you can see, is available on all your devices as a cloud-based software as a service and mobile-first solution. So we also schedule 100 man-years every day. So Quinix has grown and it's very extensive. Let's have a little look at a heat map on where we are today. We have guests joining, I know from many different countries. Founded in Sweden, we naturally spread to the near regions and throughout Europe, but you can see that Quinix is being used and people do log in, for instance, to maybe check on their schedule or report something or read some news right in their cell phone all around the globe. So that's a snapshot of Quinix. And let me give over the word to Robin at Optiscan, who I'm happy to co-host the webinar with. Robin.
Thank you very much, Eric. Who's Optiscan? Let me first introduce myself. My name is Robin Nilsmark. I'm responsible for Optiscan Group's operations in Scandinavia. So what do we do at Optiscan? We help our customers to make their material and data flows even more effective and more productive. So how do we do that? We have a mobile work suite called Abacus, and in the warehouse we have our own developed system, warehouse management system called Abacus Warehouse, and it handles everything from receiving till loading. If you look on the fieldwork side, we are helping our customers with sales, logistics, and also service. When it comes to service, we're talking about heavy-duty maintenance out in the field and repairs and such activities. Connected to this Abacus mobile work suite, we will also have a mobile platform in which we do the integration to your ERP systems. We also offer customer portals. For example, when it comes to logistics, your customers might want to track the inventory and see where it is. We also have management tools in which we supply management console for the supervisor. He or she can run the day-to-day business and do follow-up and react on necessary issues that might come up. We also have device management where you can run your hardware, and also reporting so you can follow up on necessary key performance indicators. To be able to have a complete solution, we also need hardware. Next slide, please. So when it comes to hardware, we cooperate with several technologies, and we have a complete range, so we can supply a turnkey solution. We have everything from printers to forklift PCs and Wi-Fi and everything in between. Also, we offer leasing and maintenance and various support agreements so that you can focus on your core business instead of taking care of devices and doing maintenance and repairs and such activities. A bit more about Optiscan Group, who we are. We have our main headquarters in Finland, in Helsinki, and in Sweden and Denmark, and also in Finland we have 60 members working for us in our personnel. All in all, we have more than 30 years of experience in the warehouse system management business. And we're proud that our customers each day handle more than 6 million work orders. If you take a look at the next slide, we have some of our customers that we are very happy to work with. Some of them are very famous brands on the international market, but we also have very well-known local brands. A few of these report productivity increases of up to 40%, which we are very proud to achieve together with them. So with background in this, I'm gonna hand over to our keynote speaker for today, Mr. Daniel Dombach from Zebra Technologies.
Good morning, everyone. I hope you can hear me fine. I unmute my microphone now. My name is Daniel Dombach. I'm Director for Strategic Sales, as you can see on this slide. That is to say, I am focusing on the transportation, logistics, and also postal and courier market. In Zebra, we have various key segments. The other ones, which are really important for us, is retail, manufacturing, and healthcare. Next slide. Okay, so who's Zebra? Exactly 3 years ago, Zebra Technologies acquired the enterprise business from Motorola Solutions. We used to be alliances partners before. Now, as a joint organization, our sales is really significant with $3.6 billion in 2016, and we're expecting to beat that in 2017. You can see we have like 7,000 employees, and our business is very much partner focused. That's also the reason why we're doing this webinar together with our friends from Quinix and OptiScan. As you can see as well, we're really an innovative and research-driven company. We're holding lots of patents, and a huge amount of our revenue is spent in research and development. Next slide. To give you an idea, Zebra Technologies in the beginning was focusing on printers, barcode printers, mobile printers, and desktop printers, as you can see them here. The other products more on the left-hand side of the slides are the enterprise products coming from the Motorola Solutions environment, which, as I said, was acquired by Zebra exactly end of this month, 3 years ago. So that's mobile terminals, ruggedized mobile terminals, scanners, RFID technology, and all the related accessories to that. If we have a look at the next slide. No, the one now. Okay, sorry. The idea of today's presentation is really to go through the Internet of Things applications we see and we deliver and we build in transportation logistics and in warehouses. It's all about using the mobile devices, which I showed to you, and these are really professional mobile devices. In many cases, we're getting questions, can't I do that with an iPhone or with any Android standard consumer-grade smartphone? Well, in theory, from a technology perspective, yes, but in a life cycle of 3, 5, or even more years, and in harsh business environments, that is not a good advice to do so. So going with a professional vendor with the right operating systems and the right security instruments is really, really vital. Lots of things we're doing is working with sensors, and you will see a couple of examples in a minute. So sensors in any kind of a process in logistics are taking data, and this is submitting data to a central place. The idea then is to translate these data into business valuable information, so that you can so that you will get an understanding what exactly is going on with my process. And if anything is not in good shape or wrong, you can take corrective action. And since we see that logistics processes are well, global or at least distributed, it's really important to have the infrastructure behind that. So cloud technology plays a really, really important role here. The terminology Zebra uses internally is enterprise asset intelligence. We believe everything in a business process is an asset, whether it is the product itself, the forklift, a building, a worker, a truck, anything is an asset. And you want to know, where is my asset and in what condition is my asset? And only if you have that visibility, you can optimize and streamline your processes to make them faster or easier or better or reduce errors, something like that, which by the end of the day will translate into growing your efficiency and growing your success. Next slide. We did a survey with our customers in North America and in Europe. We call that the Vision 2020 survey around warehousing. And in a nutshell, these are a couple of findings we're having in here. So customers are telling us they believe there will be a lot more warehouses by 2020, and they will all be bigger, up to 33%. Well, and if I drive around my neighborhood, through the logistics areas, I can see a new warehouse every other month. So they're just growing like everything. Of course, that is driven by the huge e-commerce boom we all experience. We're all shopping online, and we're all expecting, well, at least next day delivery nowadays, if not same day delivery. But that is only possible if you have a proximity of your goods to the end user. There's no way you can transport something for a couple of 100 kilometers overnight to successfully deliver to the customer in due time. So that's why companies are investing in warehouses. So we have more warehouses and bigger warehouses, and we will have more items or more SKUs, as we say, in those warehouses. And there will be more workers, and there will be more technology, there will be more automation, there will be more sensors, there will be more network. And really key again is to have visibility, what's going on in my warehouse, to really optimize how we work and how we better can drive our business. Of course, this Vision 2020 study is available for you to download. If you need to find it, just let us know afterwards. We're happy to forward it to you. Next slide, please. So let's take a look at two solutions which are picked out of here, out of many other things. As you will see, I will not talk about scanners or mobile computers. I will not talk about megahertz and megabytes, these kind of things. I'm talking about solutions now. So the one thing we can see in a warehouse or in a hub or in a distribution center, it is really difficult to really understand what's going on. The location of objects is sometimes unknown, or not really clear, or they move into a place where you wouldn't expect them, or they go into a wrong place, things like that. Another thing that is really important nowadays and getting more and more important, you really want to know how big is the pallet I have on the fork of my forklift, so that I can optimize the loading process for a truck. And this is something we're doing with a solution we call Smart Freight. Can we forward one? So it could be something like this. You have a warehouse and you have your forklifts driving around. They're picking up pallets, and for example, they can drive through a dimensioning zone, which we have developed. The traditional dimensioning is done with static dimension readers somewhere in a corner of a warehouse or of a hub. The forklift will pick up a pallet, it will go there, put it down and reverse, and then the sensor or the scanner will determine the dimensions of that pallet in 3 dimensions, and then the forklift picks it up again and continues its journey. Well, this takes a couple of 20, 25, 30 seconds or so, and usually you have quite a couple of forklifts driving around, so you're creating a bottleneck. You're having a queue, forklifts needing to wait. What we have done, we're using camera technology. So we're building a big gate, and while the forklifts are driving through the gate, we're filming the object on the forklift. We're recognizing where is the forklift and where starts the pallet. We'll equip the forklift with a sensor, for example, an RFID sensor. And with real-time location solutions, which we're using here, we know exactly when the forklift is entering the filming zone and leaving the filming zone. And then there's a piece of video analytics software which is calculating the exact measurements of that object. That is a huge benefit for logistics companies because while you're saving these 25, 30 seconds of waiting at the dimensioning place, you don't have any queues or bottlenecks in these operations, and you have a lot easier flow of your goods in there. And of course, you continue to monitor where's the forklift going. You know, of course, what is he transporting? Maybe you've been reading the barcode on the pallet, or maybe the pallet itself also carries an RFID chip, so you know exactly what is it and where is it supposed to go. And if the forklift has to drop one of these pallets into dock door number 2, and by mistake he's going to dock door number 1, he can be notified immediately. Maybe there's a little traffic light system on his forklift, and he sees red light saying, "Oh, I'm at the wrong dock door." So again, you're streamlining your process and you're reducing the errors in this one. Just as a few examples. Next slide, please. So the supervisor, for example, can see everything that's going on a tablet, as we can see here. We can see which pallet is where. Maybe a pallet in cross-docking is at a wrong location. It will be recognized and the supervisor will be notified. So what I'm doing here is what I explained a minute before with Enterprise Asset Intelligence or Internet of Things. I'm capturing data, so I'm reading the sensor and I'm reading the location of an object, so I know where it is. I translate it into a meaningful statement for me, and I can see, for example, this yellow pallet with the red borders is at the wrong position. I can immediately notify a forklift driver, go there, pick it up, and put it to the right location. So this is an Internet of Things application, as you can see here. Next slide, please. Let's take another example. When loading trucks, it's really important to have better visibility. Today, companies don't really know how fast is my loading process, how much is in there, how much space do I use, how much space is wasted, if anything going wrong, things like that. So we created a solution which is called Smart Pack Trailer. You might have heard that if you listened to me before under the name of Trailer Load Analytics. Smart Pack Trailer is the new name. So what we're doing is we're monitoring the process of loading a truck. In this specific case, as you can see in this picture, it is loading with parcels. There will be other solutions, or there are other solutions already looking into roll cages or any other objects, or also pallets in the future. Next slide, please. So here's a real life example. This is what it looks like. We have, if we take a look at them in the middle, you see LMU, that is a load monitoring unit. That is a box probably the size of a overhead beamer in your conference room where you display the slides to the wall, that size. Inside there are two cameras. There's an RGB camera and there's a depth camera. And these boxes are installed at each and every dock door. So once the truck arrives and you open the doors, the cameras are looking into the truck and they're seeing and observing what's going on. You can see these examples on the left-hand side. And now the staff or the loaders are starting to load the truck with everything. If you, in this specific case, if you think about how does the overall process start, so all the parcels are coming maybe from the postal offices into a big hub. They go on a big sortation line, on a big sortation belt. With lots of scanners, the barcodes will be scanned. There might be a scale in there, so you capture the weight, and there might be a very basic dimensioning tunnel, and you capture the dimension of the object. And then it goes on, and it goes through a conveyor belt, and when it needs to go to a dock door, little arms will push it down a slide and will go into the dock door, into the truck. So the worker is receiving these parcels, these boxes. He's scanning the barcode so we know what it is, and then he's starting to stack it, as you can see. So he's stacking a first wall and then next wall, and step by step he's filling the truck completely. Now the video analytics software can see what's going on. If you look at the lower left-hand corner, you see these red circles. We can see, well, there are quite some gaps in there. So this guy didn't do a really, really good job in stacking all the boxes. He's wasting space. Just to give you an idea, in parcel loading of trucks, the industry average of load is 70% as an industry average, which means 70% is goods, 30% is air. Now imagine you're operating a reasonable fleet of trucks transporting goods from A to B all the time, every day, every night. If you can increase this load volume, say by 1% or 2%, that can be significant savings immediately. If you look at the middle picture, the system has recognized this guy has put a small box on the floor and a bigger box on top, and maybe even a bigger box on top of that, which might not be too smart for the small tiny one on the bottom. It could be damaged, it could be crashed, things like that. Health and safety plays an important role as well. This system can also detect how somebody is lifting a box. This gentleman on the lower right-hand side is lifting a heavy box with a really crooked back. If he's continuing to do that all day long, all week long, all month long, he probably will have problems with his back over time. So the supervisor can see that, and he will be notified so that he can talk to this guy and give him a hint or a training how to better lift the box in order to well, be healthy in the future. So the supervisor is getting a dashboard, as you can see on the right-hand side. So the upper one that's all the dock doors, all the cameras, the supervisor is in charge of, and he can see the green ones, everything's fine. The gray ones, well, nothing is, no problem, or maybe no action, and the red one could be a problem. Let's talk about these problems. On the next slide, please. So here's an example of a dashboard. First of all, we have three statistics in here, and I want to talk you through that. So let's take the right-hand picture, 1003 going to Memphis. You can see the conveyor belt going into the truck. The parcels have been delivered into the truck, and we see the trailer fullness. This trailer is 20% full already. So don't be surprised. You don't see too many parcels in there. You can see there are some covers flipped open. So this is kind of a double-decker principle. The covers in the back are down already, and parcels are below that. So that's why it's 20%. So we can see how full is this truck, 20%. Now let's think about something that's going wrong here. So we know the truck is 20% full, but we also know this truck has to leave the warehouse or the hub or the distribution center in half an hour, because we do have a service level agreement with an end customer, or we need to capture a ferry, or we know about traffic situation on the streets. So the system now will put a red frame around this picture on the dashboard of the supervisor, and the supervisor knows at 1003 Memphis there is a problem, and he can interact. Maybe he will assign a couple of more workers to speed up the loading process, so that we complete the load and we can hit the road in good timing. This could be one thing. Let's take the middle example. So the load rate. Here we see this truck's been loaded in an average with 334 parcels per hour. That's, well, good or bad, don't know. It could be pretty interesting to really see how my staff is performing. Maybe I can see that some workers are really fast. They're loading 500 parcels per hour. Others only load 300 parcels per hour. Or my distribution center in Gothenburg has an average loading rate of 500, but in Stockholm, the average loading rate is 300. As a company, you want to know why. Why is the process in Stockholm so much slower? Is the conveyor belt slower? Are the people not trained well enough? Do they take 3 steps to pick a parcel and then go back into the truck? Whatever that is, at least you have an idea something is not in good shape, and you can react to that so that you can improve the overall performance of your business. Now let's go to the very left-hand side, 101 going to Chicago. So this truck has a cube score or space utilization of 78%. And that is really good. 78 is really fantastic. As I told you before, 70 is average, 78 is really good. How do we do that? So I told you before, the parcels coming to the sortation center, they go on this conveyor belt, they're scanned, we take the weight and we take the dimensions. Now when the worker is picking up the parcel and put it into the truck, he's scanning it before, so we know how big is it. And now the video analytics software with the depth camera that we have is calculating the space you're using, and it's calculating the space you're leaving between this box and the other box next to it, and we see how much space you're wasting. That's how we're getting this cube score. So pretty interesting, and complete new insight into operations. Now this specific customer that you can see here currently has 10,000 dock doors installed with cameras. We'll do another 10,000 by middle of next year, and then they're complete, and then their entire operations are going here. They have created a couple of thresholds, or a couple of alerts that the system shall observe and then give notification to the supervisor. One of which is if the trailer fullness is higher than 50%, and if the cube score is lower than 60%, give me an alert. So in this specific case, you will have a red frame, and then the supervisor will see there's an issue. So the truck is almost full, half full, and the loading quality is bad. So he can go there and say, hey, why is your cube score so bad? Why are you wasting so much space? You're almost done. This is too expensive for us. Things that, well, maybe there's a good reason. Maybe all the parcels have really ugly shapes and ugly measurements, and it's not possible any better. Or maybe the guy doesn't really know how to do it better. Maybe he needs training. Maybe he needs to assign somebody else who gives him help, things like that. The overall idea here is really to provide the supervisor and the company with insights on this process. And again, we're back to Internet of Things. This as well is an Internet of Things application. We're capturing data, and in this specific case, we're capturing the dimension through the tunnel, and we're reading the barcode, and we have the video analytics software and the cameras for RGB and 3D. The video analytics software and the back-end software, the ERP system or the warehouse management system, are integrated, and I can get in a statement. For example, a statement is the truck is 50% full, but the load rate is lower than 60%. Then we have a problem, and I can take an action. So sense, analyze, act. That's what Internet of Things is like. In the not too far future, we will have other display devices than just this tablet. So, well, just is maybe a wrong word. So today's solution is based on tablets, or you have a control room with lots of monitors, and you have all the doctors in there and the supervisor sitting in there. So he can do both, walk through the warehouse or through the hub with his tablet and see what's going on, or he can sit in his office. In the future, we will use head-up displays for the supervisors. This is in proof of concept right now. Will definitely not come into the market in 2017 and not in early 2018, but at some point in time. So the supervisor will wear head-up display, something like glasses or Google Glasses we used to say in the past. But of course, these industrial graded devices are very different and have different functionality. So while he's walking through the warehouse, he will get the information into his line of sight, and even better. We'll have a couple of new shapes and forms of this solution. One of the new ones is Smart Pack Container. We're now observing the loading of especially air freight containers, because as you may guess, it's really important to find out how much load is in my container and to optimize the load. And there's also another proof of concept study right now that the system will do a recommendation where to put the next box to optimize the space consumption. Remember, we know the dimensions of the box. We have video analytics who is observing what's going on, and sometime in the not too far future, we will have this, we call it next best fit scenario, where we can tell the worker through a laser beam or maybe through augmented reality in head-up displays where to put the next box to optimize this loading. Next slide. And finally, again, a summary of this one. So the supervisor can observe multiple dock doors or multiple loading stations. As I was saying, the initial project was running with parcels only. We're now doing it similar with pallets, and also roll cages are in discussion to some extent. It is real-time visibility, so the supervisor knows exactly what's going on in his loading operations, and he can take immediate action. And we're using all this information. Of course, you can store a couple of those images and collect these data for later use. So with that, I complete my little presentation on two exciting solutions and innovations in warehouse and logistics. There are a couple of more, of course, but I thought this could be really of interest for you today in our webinar. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Daniel, for your presentation. Just came to think about these sensors, RGB camera that is recording in the trucks. Is it the same technology that video games are using when they are sensing where the person is?
Yes, exactly. Well, in fact, these 3D sensor is the Kinect sensor from the Microsoft Xbox. If you have kids that are playing tennis in front of your TV screen, that's exactly what it is.
Okay, so when you're on a break, when you're working in the warehouse, you can play some video games.
Yes, of course. Love to.
Yes. To all your attendees, please remind you that we have the box where you can type in your questions. So please send in your questions. One thing that I thought about was that if we see Internet of Things as a current paradigm shift, Daniel, what do you see as the next paradigm shift in warehouses?
Well, I made a couple of statements already. So wearable technology is really important. In the past, people were walking around with mobile computers carrying in their hand. The next step is to have them wearable. That is already in place for quite a while. So you would probably maybe wear a terminal on your arm and have a ring scanner on your fingers, so you have both hands free. We also know that in picking operations, voice-controlled picking plays an important role. And as I said, the next evolution step will be head-up displays or glasses, which give you your working information, your next job information into your direct line of sight. This is one. We're also experimenting these days with drones to take inventory control of warehouses. So a drone being equipped with a reader or with RFID reader or with a scanner or any other thing, or cameras flying through a warehouse and checking the inventory. There are a couple of customers testing it right now. It's not ready for the market yet, but this will definitely come.
Do you think we will see human-like robots doing processes in the warehouse?
Well, that's already existing. There's a very, very big e-commerce shop, a very, very, very big e-commerce shop, you all know, starts with A. They already have mixed models in some of the warehouses where they have standardized products. The pickers, if I order something, a book or a CD, whatever that is, the picker is no more walking through the warehouse to the storage location and picking it, but a little robot is taking the entire shelf to me. So he's going there, he's lifting the shelf, and then he's making his way through the warehouse to me where I am, and then I pick the CD, and then I put it into shipment, and then the robot brings this thing back. We will see more of those in the future. I'm absolutely sure we cannot replace humans in there. Robots try to picking themselves, but if you have lots of different shapes of objects and small things and different quantities, the picking process through a robot is far too difficult and too slow these days and too complex. So that probably won't change in the too near future.
Okay. Eric, do you have any questions for Daniel while we're waiting for our attendees to write some questions in the chat window?
I do. Daniel, I'm loving the level of detail in the presentation, and just see how everything really matters in terms of making warehouse operations more efficient. A question, discussions that I have with clients is that I hear, perhaps despite of all technology and in some ways maybe perhaps thanks of it, the staff demand is still high, especially now we're approaching holiday season, and it is very high in the warehouses. And perhaps again we see an example of technology not replacing people as much, but pretty much working together for increased efficiency. So I would definitely love your comment on that, how you think that would look in the future for say a warehouse sort of a site manager, and then also for the individual worker. What do you think what will the human role be in the future, if you will?
Yeah, very good. I got two answers to that. So you're right. We're entering peak season. We're close to Black Friday, or Cyber Week, as we call it in Europe, which of course will boost e-commerce sales again, which will boost delivery needs for logistics companies, which means you will need to probably recruit or hire temporary workers for a while. We see that everywhere. The important thing is that the technology you're using is easy to use and easy to learn. In the past, we had lots of these devices in warehouses were using terminal emulation. Maybe you have a warehouse management system running on an IBM AS400 or whatever, and you had these kind of green letters on a black screen and lots of function keys. The new technology is different. The new technology is Android-based. It is a graphical user interface. It is a touchscreen environment. Let's face it, everybody today is using a smartphone. Everybody knows how to operate a smartphone. And the modern terminals in warehouses and in logistics operations using the similar technology. Of course, we have highly increased security levels in there, really for business use. So there's no comparison to the consumer stuff, but that is one of the big advantages. If you need to hire temporary staff, you need to have technology which is easy to learn and easy to work with. Another example could be using head-up displays in a warehouse for workers with augmented reality, not just showing you your next job, go to aisle number 15, shelf number 3, pick 4 items, but you could have a mini navigation system in there. So if you're new in this warehouse, you don't know where to go, the system could help you where to go and to do that. The other interesting thing is we're thinking about improving the situation. I said a minute before, we have these, excuse me, old-fashioned warehouse management systems, which are relatively inflexible. If the system knows my current job and my next job and the job after, or if it would know, it could optimize my route and would give me different routes, or I could do 2 pickings at one time for different jobs. So we're thinking about a new solution to have a new database and a new intelligence engine on top of the warehouse system, which will analyze everything that's going on in the warehouse. The way you walk, the way the path forklifts are driving, and integrate different jobs into one job. That is something we're testing these days, and this will probably come, well, in a year or 2 years, something like that. So technology will move on in the hands of the users, but also in the backend systems. But it will always need the workers to operate in the warehouse, as I was saying before. I don't believe we will ever see where in standard warehouses, everything done by machines or robots.
This is amazing, and I mean, I think it makes for a very exciting workplace as a worker to have all this information and the visualization of it readily available. Robin, I see that we still don't have any other questions, so I'll shoot one last one. So more in the near future, Daniel, what do you see? What are warehousing struggling the most with at the moment, and where do you see the most efficiency gains to be had, sort of in the short-term perspective for warehouses?
Yeah. Well, there are a couple of challenges we have in here. So first of all, we have a shortage of workers. As I was saying before, and as we could see in the Vision 2020 report, there are more warehouses and bigger warehouses, and we need more workers. Already today, at big rail junctions or traffic junctions, we see lots of more warehouses coming up, and every available worker in that environment is working there. So it's really hard to find new workers for warehouses. And it's not really attractive. And the same is true for truck drivers. There is a significant shortage of new truck drivers coming to market. That is one of the big challenges we're seeing already. Making it attractive and providing technology that is exciting and that makes the work easy, I think is one of the things we need to do here. I was at a conference lately, and one of the discussion points was how to attract young talent to work in logistics, where usually if you're coming from university, your first thought would not be, well, I want to be a logistics worker. But companies are starting to think around that, and we see various consortiums and groups making their mind up how to make this industry more attractive for new talent and new workers. In all areas. Of course, a warehouse worker is relatively unskilled, whereas a depot manager or a supervisor, of course, has a complete different level of education. So with new technology and exciting things, we hope to change that as well a little bit.
Amazing, thank you. Very good response. Robin?
What I can see, we don't have any questions from the chat, and the time for the webinar is running up. So I think we should thank Daniel Dombach for his presentation, and also invite you to further discussions with Quinix and also us, Optiscan Group. Eric, do you have anything to add?
No, nothing else to add. This webinar has been recorded, and we will publish it afterwards for everyone to see Daniel's presentation again. So thank you, everyone, and see you soon, and talk to you soon. Take
Thank
care.
you very much, everyone.
Thank you, and thank you, Daniel.
My pleasure. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye.